Hello, everybody. It's nice that you're here with us. After a long pause, we kick back with the meetup, and today we have a wonderful guest who will tell us about less what, how, why, are we scaling or descaling? So to be honest, I'm extremely flattered and honored to have Artem here because first of all, he is also Ukrainian, and I feel super happy as a Ukrainian to have another Ukrainian guy over here to share his wisdom and knowledge with us. So personally, I met Artem, I believe, almost 2 years ago when Artem was organizing a conference. It was a Simplicity Day, Agile Magic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Agile Magic 2020.
And it was a very good conference. So Artem is a certified LeSS coach, one of the 16th in the world. So that's pretty awesome, guys. Artem is also the CIO of the Simplesense. It's a consultancy company. And maybe, Artem, you can add something about yourself.
Yeah, maybe to talk more about myself, I'm not a theoretical agile guy as it sometimes happen. I was a QA in the past, so I was a quality assurance engineer in teams, starting from some old-fashioned waterfallish projects and thinking about why we are wasting so many times for things, for planning things which we'll be never doing in future. And then I become a QA lead, and at the moment when I need to decide should I be more technical, like technical lead, or some QA manager of the managers or something else, or should I invest more of my energy and time to help other people or teams be more productive, more happy with the outcome, and make more people happy of the product, I've switched to Scrum Master stream. So my agile journey started somewhere 10 years ago, and my Scrum Master first certificate started in 2013. Also, yeah, I am certified LeSS coach together with Jane Jendel and other partners of Key Step to Success company. So we are together LeSS coaching company and helping organizations with their agile LeSS adoptions. And what else? Yeah, have some Scrum Alliance and Scrum.org certifications, of course, as a hobby, because I prefer not to only teach others, but learn from others continuously, then go practice, hit my head with some learnings or failures, whatever you prefer, and then maybe share some of these thoughts on conferences, on courses, workshops, and so on. We are working with corporate companies, different international and local one. For example, the names which will be potentially known by you is McDonald's, BNP Paribas, sometimes some small projects with them, Vodafone, what else? MV, Kuehne+Nagel, Express Bank, and other companies. Yeah, and I have an MVP of my life in production, as I am joking. So I have a daughter, son, and I've planted 3 trees and built a house. And now I can be focused on another epics or feature areas of my life. And what I'm doing here with you right now, I hope that I can give you some nice insights from this talk, because recently, 1 month ago, I was in Amsterdam on another certified LeSS practitioner class. I was learning from Bas Wode, one of the founders, authors of LeSS framework. And 2 years ago, before COVID, I was in New York learning from Craig Larman. So I've learned from both of them, and insights are still here. Some experiments are in progress, and I will be happy to share with you.
Great, thank you for that one. A couple of words about the format, how this meetup is gonna go. So we're gonna have a dialogue, and I will be asking Artem questions. As we discussed previously, Artem will prefer if you ask questions on the fly, and he will answer as well on the fly. So thank you for that. I'm also opposing of a waterfallish approach where all the questions are at the end. Of course, we will also have like a Q&A slot, maybe some questions and ideas will come up that you would like to share. Please, for questions, use the Q&A button, not chat, okay? Because it's gonna be pretty hard for us to monitor them both, okay? And I believe we can start. And before we start, maybe tell us something. Why LeSS? Why do you like LeSS so much? Maybe you have some like personal story about LeSS that you would like to share.
Yeah, it's very simple for me to answer. And the answer is less very simple to start scaling or to start collaborating in multiple teams environment working on the same product. Because in the past, maybe 7 years ago, when I was a Scrum Master in multiple teams working on the same big product, I have a need somehow to organize collaboration between these teams and to align them better and to integrate the outcome of their sprints better. And we were trying to do something like at that moment were called like Scrum of Scrums. It's not nowadays Scrum of Scrum, yeah. It wasn't a framework, but it was like each team has their own Scrum, and sometimes representatives of these Scrums make the higher level, hierarchical level. But I do feel that something goes wrong because it's again like hierarchy and people from top to bottom decide something in their circle or steering committee and then told other people what to do, and it's a bit strange. And sometimes it was in the past project managers and now they call themselves Scrum Masters, and analysts become team product owners. Something wrong. And what I was trying to do, I was trying to simplify this schema and to make sure that people connects directly to solve some dependencies, to agree on next steps, and without all these overcomplicated structures like in some other frameworks, not less. And afterwards, I was on a workshop by Losha Krivitsky. It was a CSM, and I was co-trained with him together. And he shared his thoughts about scaling of multiple teams development and mentioned LeSS. And I've started reading books by Craig Larman and Bas Wode, and I was like inspired. Wow, it's so simple and close to how I can expect. Because for me, it's like a small cell. It becomes bigger, and then it's sliced into two new cells, and they are quite similar in this system. And so for me, it's kind of an organical way how you do scaling inside the system when the system is growing. Yeah. And afterwards, I was on workshop by Jean Jendel, who is now my partner in Key Steps to Success, KSTS company, coaching LeSS company. And it was certified LeSS Basic before certification appears. And I was like, yeah, it's exactly what I want to create. It's another round in my life when I was thinking that I'm almost invented something, but it was invented many years before, So, yeah, and I was quite inspired, so I started learning more, and I was practicing different frameworks, including Safe and this kind of Scrum of Scrums and kind of Spotify. But what I can see comparing these models, that they are not always providing you with real change. So they leave you a lot of options how to stay where you was before, but with different names. And it's kind of name transformation, but not a way of working transformation. And in LeSS, it's provoke you to decrease amount of roles, decrease amount of coordination, and create a better motivation to learn something new, to learn new skills, to learn about that guys, what are they doing, as overall backlog refinement meetings and so on and so on. We can talk about later. But so it was really close to my understanding and past experience, and it helps me a lot with a few clients with whom I've tried, and they were brave enough to try really, not for some report for top management that we are in agile transformation, but truly changing the way of working, and everyone was quite happy with outcome, including customers, which is important for me, because unfortunately a lot of agile transformations make happy only some chief transformation officer, but not always customers and clients, So yeah, that's why LeSS.
That's a pretty cool one. I especially like how you describe how the cell is growing, and then split into cells. So if anybody would be interested, so you can reach for mitosis. It's called mitosis, and you can check. There was a Scrum pattern for that. So check that out. Okay, so we're talking about scaling, right? But what is scaling for us? Let's like define it, because many people can have different opinions about that. And while we're saying that scaling, some people might think one product, a lot of teams, a lot of products, one team, a lot of products, a lot of teams. So when we are talking about scaling, what are we talking about?
Yes, for me, the scaling is a moment when your organization is grown enough because of objective reasons for that. So you need to go faster, or you need to produce more, or you need new platforms, new sub-products, some streams, or maybe new specializations are needed because you are adding VR channel or some other channels, maybe mobile you're adding, and that's why you need more people. And because of the amount of people, it's not productive anymore to stay in the one round table and make a daily scrum, because it now takes 2 hours, and your plannings can be for a 2 days planning, and people do not remember what is the name of that guy and what he's working on. So you definitely need some way how to redesign, reorganize your structure, and it's a moment when you should start thinking about how to scale your approach so it will be at least at the similar level productivity as it was before when you are working as a one team. And many organizations are struggling with that, because the expectation was, if I will add 2 more teams, then I will have twice, 3 times more productivity. But in fact, I gain like 1.2, and it's just a 20% on top of outcome. But in budget, it grows 3 times much bigger, and even few new managers to coordinate all this environment. So for me, scaling is a moment of natural life cycle of organization if everything goes good and you can hire more people to take more market share, to create more interesting features and satisfy more customer requests. And you need somehow to reorganize your structure, processes, roles, agreements, and so on. Maybe this?
That sounds about right. So you pretty much covered what to scale in and why to scale. And maybe you can tell us why not to scale and when not to scale. I have my opinion on that one. I'm curious about what's yours.
Yeah. I believe that it was said by Ken one day many years ago after one of the updates of Scrum Guide, where when people were expecting that in Scrum Guide will be some notes how to scale, but there were only new Scrum values put it in Scrum Guide, maybe 2013 or something like that. And the answer was, you are still not able to design one team Scrum in a proper way, described on 17 pages. So maybe you are not ready yet to scale, because your one team approach is working like a piece of not cake, but something else. And I highly not recommend you to scale this approach. So maybe this is a reason not to scale. If your processes is disaster and your delivery rate is so awful that you believe that just bringing more people and more teams with the same processes, copy-pasting the same approach and putting them around will help you to deliver more faster or with better quality, it doesn't work like that. So first of all, to scale something, to use mitosis, you first need to create something stable enough and transparent enough and organized, designed enough well, which you are not scared to scale. Yeah, like, I don't know, for example, you have a puppy and you decide to live with a dog now in your house. And your puppy is totally uncontrolled demon. So he's eating your chairs and I don't know, your shoes, and he's biting you and your child. And you decide to solve this problem, I will buy 2 more puppies. Doesn't matter that I am not able to be a good leader for them and to educate them to behave as a normal dog at my house. I will just bring more dogs to my house. And the scaling will solve my problem with, I don't know, security in home and something else. So for me, it's a reason not to scale. And another option, because it's number one, yeah, we're just trying to solve some business uncovered business request or inquiry. In other cases, when you have like 2 teams of 5 people, and you decide that now we need some scaling framework because it's very popular, and on all Agile conference they are talking about this LeSS, Nexus, Safe, Spotify model. So we want to be on trend, and maybe we will hire 2 more developers soon. So we need to be nicely prepared, and we will start using some heavyweight framework for that. Maybe it's not a time yet, especially when we have, I don't know, 12, 15 developers and we say that we need product areas, and it's definitely less huge now, or it's some portfolio level safe 5.73 version. I don't know which versions they have right now, but maybe something like that to have another certification exam. So yeah, you should scale when you feel that the resource, cognitive resource of the brain of the only one product owner for one product is not enough anymore to work with all stakeholders, clients, and customers, and to clarify enough well for my own as a product owner the real need for now and the priorities, and to order backlog in a proper way. Then maybe we need more people to help as a product group around the product owner supporting working with this product, and we really feel that we have areas which can be like a separate streams of business with their own budgeting and ROI, and if one of them will be closed, the second one is still on the go because it's totally independent, but it's still part of one complex system, then maybe it's a good reason to scale. And of course, number 3, my favorite one, and I believe you too, when we have some project factory, some outsourcing, and they are doing some simple projects, copy paste, I don't know, e-commerce portal on the same platform, just changing logo and uploading different SKU of e-commerce stuff they are selling. And they say like, we have 25 developers, it's too much, we need some scaling approach for them to work. But they are not working on product at all. They are working on many projects with fixed time, scope, and budget for totally different B2B partners. In different life cycle, maybe even different versioning already because of change requests, and they say like, let's put it in one backlog, and you are portfolio product super chief owner. It's also for me looks a bit weird, but it's a reality for some companies, I believe.
Yeah. I would add to that one is that before you go scaling, you could also check whether it will bring any positive financial impact, because I also see quite often that we have the idea to add more teams, because the more teams you have in big company, the more political power you gain, right? And you add more teams, you add more teams, you add more teams, but you forget to check whether adding more teams will make any financial impact on your product. So if you will go even faster, will it bring you more money or not? So that's also one of the reasons that we quite often observe in the organization, that adding up more teams just builds the bigger political weight for people. But that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I especially like the approach when we have a screwed up Scrum on one team, and then we try to scale to 4 teams or 5 teams. But guys seem to forget that while scaling, you don't scale only the positive stuff, you scale also the negative stuff.
Yeah, you're scaling all the system together, and you will see the benefits of all the components.
Exactly. So, okay, we know what scaling is, right? We shared how we understand scaling and what will we be talking about. But even in the topic, in the invitation to this meetup, we have word D, which was put in brackets, and here the mystical descaling comes. So what are we mystical? It's always mystical. Yeah. So what are we descaling with less?
Yeah. Okay. It's always interesting point about what are we descaling. We are trying to descale complexity, because what we do like, I believe all of us who are quite good experienced in one team Scrum, we like the simplicity, transparency, collaboration of these people, openness, readiness to help each other, and so on and so on. And when we become bigger and bigger, 3 teams, 5 teams, 7 teams, quite often we're faced with system issues on organizational level. Like for example, we need some people who will be accountable for reactively act on production incidents. How can we solve it? Everyone is so busy. Let's create a production support fire team. Okay, now we have another team. And now we need somehow to synchronize with them. And also we need somehow to work with legacy and with refactoring. So we decide that we need a proper QA automation including integration tests, unit tests, good coverage. So maybe someone should be accountable for that approach, and we create, I don't know, some system QA team. Because when you have a problem, you have a natural desire to assign this problem to someone, especially senior management. For them, it's easier to understand who is accountable now for that. And we have a list of problems, and now, okay, tick, tick, tick. Now I know whom to ask. But then I need someone who can help them to come to agreement, and we create another role who will be accountable for alignment, accountable for integration, for environments, for DevOps, for security, blah, 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 and we have numerous roles. And this is an increasing complexity. And as you probably know, the software development is already quite an often complex domain. Yeah, if we are talking about Snowden or if we are talking about Stacy chart, doesn't matter. It's a very complex environment, and bringing more variables, more roles, more decision makers, we're just growing this complexity. And the idea of Scrum was to decrease the complexity, at least in some context, at least for some maybe time, for some decision. Well, not the whole system, but to make some decision right now, and then we will go back and look at the systematic overview. So yeah, we try to descale complexity. How we're trying to do it? By removing this organizational design depth. So as we have technical depth, I believe that from time to time we're making these decisions based on local optimization, and we're locally optimizing quality management by QA team, but then we create a lot of systematic problem. We are locally optimizing by creating DevOps team sitting separately in different region, maybe far from here, but we now have another problems how to coordinate with them. And we're trying to remove these impediments by simplifying the organizational design as far as we can. So we want, if we are working on one product, then we need one product backlog for the whole product to see the only one priority. To make it happen, we need only one product owner, because if we need to manage to order one product backlog and think about the strategy and vision of one product, then we need one product owner, not the group of people who are steering committee and they have their tables with numbers and they are fulfilling spreadsheet to calculate the priority of feature for next quarter because they have a yearly budgeting and so on. And we are not saying that one person from the team should speak with other teams. We believe that people can self-organize if they have common goal and they can share experience and knowledge with each other to deliver what was planned and to deliver, contribute to those goals they were committed to. So we're descaling structure by removing extra roles, extra meetings. So the less use just a base foundation, like one backlog, one product owner, Scrum Master as a dedicated role maybe for a few teams, one or two, and also working on the system level, not only on team level. No team product owners, no team backlogs, only one sprint for all teams. There were a question in the question section I've seen about sprint goals. Only one sprint goal, because we have one product and one sprint for many teams. So we have goal for sprint, not goal for team. That's why we have only one sprint goal for all teams working in the same product or product area if we are talking about less huge. Product backlog refinement for the whole group in the middle of the sprint, separate daily scrums, sprint review at the end for the whole product group, team retrospectives, and overall retrospective for the group representatives at the beginning of next sprint. And that's it. So no extra meetings. The only extra is overall retro and sprint planning one part when we are deciding which team will take in which part of the top of product backlog. And in less huge, unfortunately, we need to add area product owners to help the product owner to decrease the amount of load on his cognitive or her cognitive resource. And we also add in this as a only additional role. Yeah, and we're not creating separate backlogs. We're just splitting it inside one product backlog by some labels to still have ability to prioritize. And if we can see that for next year, area number 3 features are at the bottom and not at the top of backlog. We will dissolve area number 3, and these people will go to area number 2 and 1 to work on the top priority features from other areas, and this area will be put on pause until the priority will be changed and we need to adapt again.
So you pretty much covered also the structure of LeSS. So to sum up, we have one product owner, we have developers, right?
Yep.
Teams, yep. And you have Scrum Master who serves product owner, teams, and the entire organization on the systematic level as well.
Absolutely.
And to sum up, guys, if you have 2-3 teams working on the same product, don't rush into area product owners or component product owners, or what's worse, team product owners. Yep. So when you come up to scaling, you have to delegate more and more work to developers, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We're going to talk about that a bit later on. You also mentioned one thing that I will plug for later, by the scaling roles. And when we're going to talk about the management, I will ask the question. And maybe, so you covered the structure already, but I believe that the key to successful LeSS adoption is also understanding the fundamentals, and fundamentals for LeSS are the principles. Maybe you can talk about that a bit. So what are the principles in LeSS?
Yeah, if we will go deeply to principles, we will spend all the hours that we have. So you can definitely read a lot on the website less.works about principles. I will share a link into the chat. But in general, I can mention them just briefly. So one of them is large-scale Scrum is still Scrum. And it was based on the previous version of Scrum Guide. I don't want to go deeply to this holy war. But what do we mean? We mean that working in a multiple team environments, we still believe in Scrum, traditional Scrum as a framework, which give us opportunity to work in a complex environment in a creative way to continuously deliver product to customers with a higher potential value, you know. And the good question for people who are trying to scale, when you are thinking like, how can we organize I don't know, refinement for 5 teams because we have specialization? The question will be how you were doing it in one team Scrum, because in your one team you also have several people, maybe 7, and they also have specialization. Some of them is better in backend, some of them is better in frontend, some of them was just a QA guy or girl, and somehow they are organizing around the work to deliver the increment. So the same approach in multiple teams. So yeah, in one team is better in, I don't know, payment features related to payments, and other one is better in the search and smart suggestion logic of your portal. Okay, it's okay. And maybe for now your strategy and your tactic is so that you need to deliver faster and you do not have very, very much time to split the payment task between all teams to enable this learning. Maybe it's your choice. So you're doing the same as it was in one team Scrum. So that's why we're saying that large-scale Scrum is still Scrum, because we build it on the same foundational principles. Yeah, one product backlog, one sprint, the same basic events. The only thing, yeah, that in we will talk about this later, that in LeSS we still say that we have team, and under team we means developers now as accountability in guide, or in previous version development team. So team is a development team is in past wording, and Scrum team is everyone together. Because the product owner now is a bit on the left side, you know, because there are many teams and one product owner. So they all together, it's a product development department or team. The second principle is transparency. So it's totally the same as it was in the typical Scrum. To make proper inspection and adaptation, we need good level of transparency from both sides about the purpose, about the goals, about the progress, current state, blah, blah, blah. So nothing new. The third principle is more with less. So like we want to have more productivity, but with less meetings, yeah, less roles. And we are also believe in lean thinking. So do what is needed and when it is needed. So again, it's quite similar to previous approach, but maybe it wasn't described in Scrum Guide. But I believe that all of you are well known about this. By the way, I can, yeah.
It is now. It is now.
Yeah, it is now.
Finally, it's added
Yeah,
in the Scrum Guide. The Scrum is
yeah,
founded on empiricism and lean thinking. So
that's
I'm
why
super happy about that.
that's why I said it wasn't. Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't. I can share screen with you, by the way, so to make it more
Yeah,
more
sure.
visually nice, so you can rest a bit from our faces. Yeah, so whole product focus. So we want to make sure that the team of developers and each team of developers not focused only, like we are working on the workplace of the person who is doing smart pricing. And I don't know what about the clients who are making purchase on our website, but I'm focused on this guy and that's it. And in the end, your solution is really great for one role of the system, but it's totally disaster for other roles who are using your product. So we try to think about the whole product continuously and avoid the local optimization even in the product design and system design of the system, how it works. It's customer centric still, because the customer is those people for whom we are creating this product and software. Yeah, we believe in continuous improvements towards perfection. I want to say a few words about this principle. I believe it's important. Quite often in agile transformations, yeah, or some framework adoptions, we can hear to such phrases like, yeah, maybe in some book or in some guide it described like that, but it's theoretical Scrum, or it's theoretical Agile, or it's theoretical LeSS. But we are different organization, and we have different processes and environment, and context is a king. So in our organization, we need another, and it will be never like you told to us here, because I know this company. I've worked in this company for 20 years. It was never like that, and your full transparency or your time and material, blah, blah, it's a bullshit. No, not in this company. Have you ever heard such a feedback from your companies you are working in as a Scrum Master or helping them as an Agile coach? I don't know. I've heard a lot. And sometimes it really looks like, wow, it's not possible in the nearest future. Or like pair programming, maybe 10 minutes per sprint, but mob programming, group programming, no, never, never, never. Real demo to real end user? No, we have privacy, we have compliance, no. So this principle says that it's maybe there are some perfection state, and for now we are not sure that it's achievable, but it's achievable. One day. No one says that it will be easy, no one says it will be tomorrow, next year, someday. And we need to be focused on continuous improvements towards these perfections, otherwise what we are doing. So we are degrading, maybe it's not the best idea. So this is what about this principle. Yeah, lean thinking and system thinking as a tools. We want to avoid local optimization. We want to think about system goal for system optimization. We are using different tools like iceberg model, causal loop diagrams to brainstorm together what can be changed and how. Yeah, we still believe in empirical process control as in traditional Scrum. Yeah, so inspection, adaptation, transparency, and trust to deliver something in the end. Yeah, and some principles from traditional queuing theory. So all this is a mindset of LeSS and how LeSS is organized and on which it is founded on.
So if we take a look at the real Scrum, how it should be implemented, it does not contradict Scrum at all. All of those principles, except maybe large-scale Scrum is still Scrum because traditional Scrum is one team. All of those principles are there. So if you think about scaling and how it should work in Scale, first of all, think about how it should work in like one team Scrum, and then it will come up pretty logically. Okay, so let's jump into the product owner section, and we have a question over here. So I'm gonna combine two questions. So product owner, right? Is the role any different in LeSS? And there is also a question, how one product owner, for example, in LeSS huge setup where we have 7 or 8 teams, can work with them at the same time and still be effective, still can work within his accountability or role.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's one of my favorite one. I believe that there is no too much difference between product owner in LeSS and in traditional Scrum. In that Scrum which was mentioned and described in Scrum Guide. but in fields, you can see different variations of how Scrum was interpreted. Yeah, and you can meet several versions of interpretation of who is product owner. And in some companies, product owner is a business analyst with different signature in email. In some companies, it's your Jira administrator. So like, where is the product owner? We need to update task in Jira. Or I need to fix this bug, but I will not do any string of code before my product owner will create and assign issue in Jira on me. So it's a Jira administrator. So sometimes it's, I don't know, even a spreadsheet and invoice administrator. So I have a team of 9 people, and I will create a spreadsheet with task for them and Gantt chart, and they will work on it and how to say, fulfill timesheet, and I will send an invoice to client. They call this person product owner sometimes. But in traditional Scrum, correct me if I'm wrong as a professional Scrum trainer, the product owner is a kind of a mini chief executive for this product. So it's a senior level stakeholder, maybe in big organization. It could be, I don't know, marketing director or VP of vice president of growth. Or if we're talking about some internal product, maybe for financial department, maybe it's a financial director or the financial director -1 if you have a huge hierarchy, or maybe regional manager. So some very senior stakeholder. In those companies in which product owner is perceived like I described before, this Jira administrator or advanced business analyst, usually you call these people product manager or senior stakeholder. So they are the real product owners. So the real product owner is the person who can say no to anyone around. No, we are not planning to do this because I am owning. Oh, it's my ownership zone. I'm not ready to do it with my team because I am accountable for return of investment. I am accountable to make sure that this team is producing the most possible valuable features. And I have belief that your proposal or your request, your inquiry is important, but I have several of them from different sources, including my vision and my understanding of market and competitors and so on, that your idea is good, but not for now, and it will be lower in backlog. And those person couldn't just, push me to make it happen, or make an agreement with my boss, so my boss will push me. Because if my boss can push me, then probably this guy or girl is a real product owner. So he or she is a mini chief executive, accountable for budget, responsible for budget, and maybe budget owner. On this such level of authority and competency in organization, so he or she can easily negotiate with people around some serious strategical and visionary topics, can make deals, sign contracts, decide on pricing, decide on the markets and new channels, to start them or to close them, not asking the committee or several committees around, can we postpone this feature delivery? No. He or she is just informing them that because of such reasons, we came to conclusion based on data that unfortunately for now we need to, or fortunately, we decided at the very beginning that we can save some money, and I am planning to reinvest this money in different area. So if you will consider the product owner like I've just described, then it will be easier to answer the second question from chat, like how this person can work in 5-7 teams in parallel. Because it's not a user story writer in your Jira or Confluence. It's not a person who is creating specifications and then pass them to developers. It's a person who is accountable for facilitation of dialogue between developers who will be working on features and requesters of these features. So the flow is very, very simple. I want to draw it really fast, if you don't mind, because I really like this picture. Give me just a second. Where is AirPlay? How can I do it? I hope that no one will send me a message during this experiment. because the iPad is not mine. The iPad is of my wife. Yeah. So just imagine that there are some customers. Can be internal or external customers. If we are talking about B2B, maybe it's some internal department heads or some people. Maybe if we're talking about B2C, business to clients, it's some people who are directly speak with these people who are using our software. They know all the stuff. And we have the product owner role. So we have PO. And they are sending requests. And product owner decide on prioritization. Should we do it right now or maybe later? Can you see my drawing? Yeah?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Great, thank you. And somewhere here we have developers or the team. And also, as I said, also somewhere here is our Scrum Master who is helping them to work and remove impediments and all this stuff. That's why Scrum Masters are usually very happy and sunny people. And now we have some backlog and it should be ordered or prioritized. And we have different requests. For example, number 5, number 12, and number 100. And we have different numbers here, like 3, 7, and then maybe 12, and then maybe 4, number 1, 100, and 5. And when the moment will appear that this request, number 12, it's the first one in this list, appears as a top priority, and on one sprint planning 1, or even better on backlog refinement, we feel that it is the next one, the product owner will organize the meeting for these people together. So it's a refinement. And they will speak directly and ask some questions. And it's a good story, so clarification, clarification is here. And it's two-side arrow. But it happens only when product owners say like, this is the priority, now it's time to discuss. Because quite soon we need it somewhere on production. And then our team representatives go to this multi-team refinement and they can clarify directly. So we are not playing in this pathing requirements through middlemen. This is a serious business stakeholder. He's wearing nice hat, as you can see. And also somewhere here can be stakeholders, with their requests. So it's kind of the same. So this is the C people, this is S people. Okay. And we can also organize some clarification with them.
Yep.
I hope that I've answered the question.
I believe you did. So we have a next question, maybe about the PBI. And should the PBIs look different to make backlog manageable by one person for more teams?
I can play coach role or expert role. What do you prefer?
I believe expert role.
Okay.
Because if you will ask a question, I believe it's the response time will be pretty big on the answer.
The main question for me, what do you call become manageable? What does it mean PBI become manageable? So who knows how much details we really need to put there to make it happen? I believe only those people who will be reading it and working on it, so developers know. And when we are trying to put someone in the middle, doesn't matter how you call this role, business analyst, system analyst, super analyst, UX analyst, product owner, proxy product owner, mini product owner, team product owner, technical product owner, somewhat product owner. This person try to be a middleman and make some analysis instead of the team. And I do believe that team accountability is to deliver work in increment. And that's why we're using Scrum. And this is a team accountability includes different functions and different actions that should be done before software is delivered. And it includes analysis, design and architecture activities, backend, database, maybe front end, some other clients, integration, automation testing, API testing, security, all type of stress testing, blah 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 testing, some DevOps activities, environment support, and delivery into production. And when you are trying to say that no, analysis is not a job of developer, you are creating already the separate role. And maybe system testing of all components together, we have a very huge system. It's not a role of one team, so it will be also another team. And you are creating good old-fashioned waterfall. So about the difference between PBI and Scrum and LeSS, there are no difference. So you are going to refinement, you're explaining the purpose, what we are trying to achieve in product, you're asking your developers what do they believe they can deliver during the next sprint. What is the minimal increments they can deliver to make it happen, so we can receive the feedback as early as possible and adapt if needed. And they can say, oh, you know, it's very huge, let's slice it, let's decompose, because I do not understand what you're trying to achieve. Okay, I will show you the workflow, for example. Our user opens the system, you make authentications and go to this screen on this dashboard, choose these filters, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What is the simplest scenario? Can you tell us? Yeah, I can. Okay, so to make it happen, I need to make changes in database. It will be task number 1. What else? Do we need to put in new tests for this? Yeah. Let's put another sticker for testing. What else? Then we can integrate it with blah blah. And on API, on middleware, I will create this endpoint. I will take it, create a ticket for me. Okay, here is your task. And they just decompose it to workable ideas. They can agree with this person how it will be accepted, maybe some acceptance criteria if needed. And they put all other acceptance criteria which were not covered by this minimal deliverable element in the nearest sprint to rest of the story in backlog. And they can slice it accurately on the next refinement, or maybe just right now. So it's up to them, you know. In the classical management by Taylor, we have told by many years that you need to divide two group of people. One of them to analyze and plan activity and assign others to do it. So small group of people who are smart enough to understand what we want, to analyze it, and plan the work, and then control it to get it done. And other people who are just doers, workers. And we try to avoid it in LeSS. We do believe that when you are hiring the smartest people on market, they are smart enough not to only follow what other people told them to do in some PBI in Jira or in other task tracker. I'm not big, hater of exactly Jira. I'm hater of tools which are preventing collaboration between people, not exactly Jira. And yeah, and make it happen that people take ownership of the analysis, of planning, and then maybe they will be more inspired to be accountable on the result, not only in fulfilling timesheets, burning time, and I don't know, trying to be more accurate with story points or some other good practices from Agile world.
I think that answers the question perfectly. Maybe one thing that I would add, if it's pretty hard to manage the backlog, I would, and especially you have 7 or 8 teams working on that, you will definitely need like some structure of the backlog. And it will be pretty hard for the product owner to order the backlog based on the user stories, but maybe on epics or features, it would be easier. And then just trust your developers or trust your teams. You have to collaborate with them. You have also to ask for their recommendation. So what do you think is gonna be the shortest way to fulfill our goal? Right, but when we're talking, for example, about the concept of user stories, it was never meant for the product owner or anybody else than the developer who will implement the solution to write it.
Absolutely.
When, for example, I come to the teams and say about that, people look at me with eyes like that and say, "What?"
Yeah. And in my experience in multi-team Scrum, when we are doing product backlog refinement, for example, for 3-5 teams, the product owner is not staying near the whiteboard and explaining like a teacher in a classroom the next task, starting from in this table I've already researched, we have this data, so please take it and put on this screen. I will share you the screen. Yeah, in this field, you should create a checklist with checkboxes, and this is by default checked. So it's already not a lot of development there. There is a lot of job for coders, but not for product developers in this approach. In my experience with multi-team refinement, the product owner sitting somewhere in the middle, and customers or some product experts from the departments which inquiry or request to teams, they are speaking in corners with different developers, creating the plan, the slicing, and then go to product owner just to inform that we are planning to start from here, and maybe in next sprints we will switch to this. And then he or she should say like, oh, no, it's very important earlier. Can you please collaborate with more teams on this big epic? So you will work in parallel if it's possible, if it's feasible, and you will deliver a bit early. Yeah, so this is the way.
Yeah.
Not a teacher, but more mentor and leader to approve the strategy.
Exactly. Okay, I think we should move on. And so we pretty much covered a lot of topics while answering those questions. Maybe what I would like us to do now, I would like us to maybe sum up about how the product owner works in the whole ecosystem. So what relationship does the product owner have? So we answered briefly about those, but maybe if we sum it up, it will help better clarify the role of the product owner in large scale. Okay, so
yeah.
Product owner relationships.
Yeah, it's a great question again. It's what I have to start drawing. Yeah, if you still remember, it's that picture. I can share again, maybe just briefly, because it's not visualizing the whole story, but at least part of it. So the main relationship product owner is accountable to manage. First of them is teams, of course. Yeah, we want to help these teams. Where is my pencil? Yeah, to help these teams with prioritization, yeah, and explaining the vision and strategy. So this ordering plus vision and strategy. So what will be next potentially based on what we know right now, yeah? And this number one relationship. The second relationship is customers. And customers, it's about ask them what they want, why they want it, and analyze what is more appropriate, more relevant right now, and collect feedback from them after when we will finally deliver something. So we can ask for feedback. So here is ask, analysis, but on strategical level, not on task level, and feedback. Yeah. And also higher management. Yeah. Maybe some senior stakeholders. I mean, I don't know, investors. Yeah. Investors. Maybe board of directors, maybe CEO and others. And it's about align their expectation. Yeah, to make sure that we are all on the same page. Maybe escalate sometime some problems, some systematic blockers, impediments that we have. Maybe provoke them to enable more opportunities for self-organization of teams. Like, yeah, you ask us to deliver faster, but our financial or compliance department doesn't allow us this or this because of old-fashioned approach or yearly budgeting. Because of yearly budgeting, we cannot adapt fast enough, and we do feel that we need to switch on another initiative, but because of yearly budgeting, I can't do it until the next February, but I want to do it right now in August. So maybe it's about, you know, enable, provoke to enable. I do like this name, provoke to enable better self-organization. So I will add this. Yeah, provoke to enable. And this is relationship number 3. So senior management, higher management. Also this arrow, so relationship between customers and teams, is the accountability of product owner to facilitate this relationship. Mostly it's like a Tinder, so it's matchmaking activities, connecting developers with proper customers users. Yeah, so it's matchmaking with proper person. So instead of go, ask, describe, send by email or through Confluence, just to say, Artem, you need to go to Jonathan and ask him about what he really want, and show him intermediate result. Don't wait for the review after 3 sprints. Show him something and collect feedback early. We have an agreement that they are able to speak with you properly, yeah? Proper customer. It's relationship number 4. And number 5 is relationship with a Scrum Master. In many teams set up with many Scrum Masters, usually some of them are more experienced than others, you know. So it happens when you're working in multi-team environments that one of the Scrum Masters is more experienced than others. In some organizations, we even start calling them Agile coaches, yeah, you know. So at least to have one-on-one with this Scrum Master at least once per week. Yeah, to make sure that with all this workload on this person, because as you can imagine in multi-team and with such a high position in hierarchy of organization, this person is booked for months in calendar in advance. So to book some time at least once per week to speak with a Scrum Master or at least with one Scrum Master who is consolidating the feedback about how the adoption is going, what impediments we have on the system level, what kind of support or enabling support we have from product people, from top management, higher management, and to manage expectations also in 2 sides. So it's a 5 relationship: teams, customers, higher management, matchmakers between customers and teams, and Scrum Master.
Okay, thank you for that one.
You're welcome.
Okay, I will wait till you stop.
Yeah, I stop.
Yeah. No,
sometimes it's hard to stop.
Yeah, I know. I think it was just super important to write it down. Okay, let's maybe just jump into the developers, and we already have a question over there about the synchronization. So a lot of teams, how do they synchronize? Does LeSS have the recipe on the mandatory additional events for them to synchronize?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's try to do it. So as for synchronization, we have few events traditionally. One of them is sprint planning. So sprint planning one is a... Why should I do it every time? Sprint planning one is an event where all developers come together to understand what they are planning to pull to backlog for next sprint. Yeah, so for example, I will do it on a clear paper. So we have a product backlog. Yeah, so it's a product backlog. And it's already ordered and prioritized. And we have sprint planning one. So sprint planning one. And we have some features here. So it's end-to-end features, of course. It's not like a create new endpoint. It's like create new opportunity to user. Some of them are bigger, some of them are unknown yet. And we have multiple teams. Each team is cross-functional and cross-component. So we have developer with skill D, with responsibility and deep expertise in component E, and some of them with V. And we have few such teams. Yeah, and on sprint planning one, what we want to know which feature will go to which sprint backlog. So this is kind of a sprint backlog. They have separate sprint backlogs, of course. And it's the first event how to synchronize them. So we have, for example, this first feature. And let's imagine that this consists of different skills needed, both technical skills, like some elements will be done in database, some need Java, some need JavaScript and React, and some of them need, I don't know, Swift for mobile development. So it consists of different tasks will be done to make it happen for users. And this also, but maybe this one without mobile somehow happen. Yeah, and this is only, I don't know, no database changes. So, and it's only for mobile. So some API for mobile. And we start deciding who will work on what. And we say like this feature, who want to do it? And team number one say like, no, it's not for us. We have lack of red skills. So our developers is not very nicely qualified with red skills. So we do prefer to take second one. Okay, then who will take the first one? And team two say, yeah, we can take it. We've did something similar recently, so put it to our sprint backlog. Okay, what about the second one? Yeah, it's a good choice for us because there are no red tasks there. Yeah, quite a usual approach, like in one team scrum. Like I don't have much skills in red, but I can take the second task. Just imagine that your teams is one developer now on this scale. And what about the third task? And the third team say like, we want to take it, but we also have lack of expertise in red. So all the top red expertise is here in this guy. And I have a bit of red expertise. I have a bit of red expertise, but not too much, you know. So and this guy like this, yeah, and this is also here and here, and this one can do both tasks. Yeah, and in this team we have T-shaped people, you see. So they can do two type of tasks. And what should they do? To leave this in backlog and don't take, because first team is already busy. Switch to next one. Look how it can be decomposed on which components, which skills needed, or some different approach, I don't know. What do you think? We can choose different options, but if we are customer-centric, as we said in principles, then we shouldn't skip feature number 3. We should work on feature number 3. And then team number 3, this team 3, should ask, okay, we can try to do it this sprint. We will be working on this. But you, guy with hair, the only guy with hair on this picture and with smile, can you support us during this sprint, at least at the beginning, to help us kick off with this feature? Because it's a new technology we're not very nicely used to. And here we'll say, okay, I will start my job at the beginning of the sprint. You can join me in pair programming to look how I'm doing this. Some of you, maybe this person, because she knows at least something about red technology. And you can work a bit with me. And then we will switch to your task. And we will work in pair programming with you on your assignment. I will help you to design, to analysis, to start, and I will help you with a code review during your job, and let's see how it goes. And then team 3 said, yeah, if he will support us on this sprint, then we can try. So we leave the questions about the dependencies and lack of skills to the team decision. So we are not pushing them how it should be solved. We propose them to make an agreement between them. And then they go to typical sprint planning 2, where they have some agile boards potentially, and they slice these features to some tasks with different colors and maybe even names on them. But I do prefer not to put names, especially one name for one ticket. Maybe it will be better to work in pairs, to swarm on some tasks. So yeah, and it's already our sprint backlog informed board, yeah, sprint board. And it's first event, yeah, so this is sprint planning 2. So when the team decide by them own who will be working on what. They trying to decompose task, maybe if they need to estimate or to guesstimate, or use no estimate approach, I don't know. And after the finish of sprint planning number 2, they said, is it feasible to deliver what they've planned or what they are planning to deliver at the end? And we are working in sprints, in parallel time frame. So it's a one sprint, but for multiple teams. And somewhere in the middle, we will have a product backlog refinement, PBR meeting. And we will do the same job again. So we will come together, we will take the top story and try to slice it into some understandable pieces to understand how it will be better to implement and deliver this story soon. So in general, two main events to synchronize on plans. Yeah, it's planning as usual and refinement. So comparing to Scrum Guide, it's mandatory meeting in LeSS. So product backlog refinement, it's event in LeSS. It's not a practice. Yeah. So second one is refinement. And usually it's multi-team. I will show you one picture just a bit later. And if it's needed, we can also do retrospectives overall, and it's highly recommended, but it's after the sprint finished and after the team retrospectives. So it's when we need to talk about systematic level impediments or improvements, systematic level topics. And of course, we have review. Yeah, let's call it 2 and 5. To talk about the feedback on increment. Yeah, feedback on product increment. And we are not against dependencies between these teams, as you can see. Because such kind of dependencies, when we need to work in the same sprint and I don't know how to do it, or another example, we need to work in this sprint and all three people will do a lot of changes in yellow component, yeah? Potentially something could be broken, but we call it synchronous dependencies. So we are working in parallel on the same stuff, and maybe my task will somehow affect your results. It's good dependencies because you will know just in time what's going wrong, and you can somehow react on it. Yeah, you can do a shorter pieces of pushing your changes to code base. So like real continuous integration, not just you have Team City, but you deploy once per week. No, you can do it before lunchtime, before going home, next morning, just after 1 hour of working, after 30 minutes more, to make sure that you are continuously integrating and everything is working fine. You can add more automatic testing to make sure that you are not broken everything. You can use the test-driven development approach and start from tests to make sure that you are not broken everything. You can use pair programming, cross-team code review, pair programming with different people from different teams if you're working in parallel on something, which is much better than asynchronous dependencies. When you know that your team will finish back office part of the feature, and after a few sprints, team 3 will start working on client-facing part of this feature. But team 1 will be already working on totally different stuff and cannot help you just when you want it or when you need it. Yeah, I'm talking like in retail, for example, someone were working on new product and on new catalog appearance and product description card, product card in e-commerce, yeah, and it was changed on the back office side, and now you need to make changes on the client side in my catalog when I make an order, and in I don't know order last step of purchasing, yeah. And you start working and you see that not full information is provided, it's promo code's not working, some description is not displayed, and you go to that team and they said, no, we have our own priorities. So it's asynchronous dependencies. So we do prefer synchronous dependencies because they provokes exchange of knowledge, exchange of experience, and cross-team learnings. And even if we are working in parallel sprints, as a parallel teams, we are still the same, the one team, working on the same product and exchanging experience and thoughts between each other.
So to sum up, I would say that LeSS blankly, openly requires you to use like engineering practices to collaborate between teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you are not using them, I believe you will have quite a lot of problems. And also you can read about, for example, communication through code between the teams during the sprint. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super important. And as you see, as Artem was describing, so developers in here in LeSS, if you want to adopt LeSS, Developers should be true professionals, and we cannot allow us to have the approach, oh, that's not mine, that's the stuff from another team, I won't touch it. No, we have the whole other focus.
It's not in my job description.
Exactly. So that was pretty cool. But we have a question in the chat, and I have this question also prepared. And I believe it will be one of the next few questions about developers as well. People seem to be interested in the topic. What about specializations, and how does LeSS approach it? About like specialization teams or even component teams. What is LeSS thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a very popular question. Yeah, thank you for this question, because it's one of the most popular. When you are looking at such structures that I've just drawn, yeah, the people are a bit scared. Does it mean that now every developer in any of the, I don't know, let's say that it's not team number 3, let's say that it's team number 8, and we have 3 dots here, yeah? So this is first, this is second, and this is number 8. Does it mean that all of the teams should know the whole system and all components, workflows in absolutely the same detalization level, yeah, with the same deepness of understanding, yeah? The answer is very simple. The same as in traditional Scrum, single team Scrum. We are not expecting, yeah, that everyone knows everything. Because in the single team Scrum, we still have specialization. Someone is better in the databases, someone is better in the JavaScript, someone is better in financial features, someone is better in client-facing UX features, yeah? It usually happens. So the same, we respect this specialization, and we want to have a lot of experts, yeah? So specialization, including deep specialization, is really good. It's not bad. But sometimes this specialization become a constraint to deliver real value to end user, because product owner could not choose the feature from the top, because all these features require, for example, red skill. And we have only one person who is really good in specialized in red skill. And we can do another scenario, not which was drawn by me right now. We can skip the feature number 3 and start working on the half of the feature number 4. And maybe do just the yellow part of feature number 3, because we have such a developers who are able to do it. Then in next sprint, this developer, let's call him, I don't know, Jora. Then Jora, in next sprint, we'll start working on feature number 3. You all know this scenario in next sprint. And all the group will be working on this part of feature number 4, but without red part, and on some feature number 5. And after 7 sprints, we will have half of backlog almost done. And the list of tasks for Jora for next 5 years to finish all that job, you know? And the outcome will be that when we will ask Jora to share his expertise with other developers, his deep specialization, his or her some kind of a manager or even product owner will say, don't touch Jora, because he is crucially important and the only person who can help us to finish this 20% of 12 tasks. And the knowledge sharing is not available anymore, you know? So it's a local optimization for now, for some to make resource utilization. So everyone is fully busy and we are not wasting time for knowledge sharing and educating people. But in fact, after a few sprints, you will be in disaster. Yeah. So when specialization is a constraint to deliver real value to end user, this should become a trigger to learn and to knowledge sharing. And with feature teams, as on the picture, we set up a system which will inspire learning, because we will take only one by one according to ordering, according to priorities made by product owner, who is representative of a real business, of real end customers and users. And we will be in situation when developers need to propose solution, how to make it happen, that we can deliver one by one, not going for this local optimization compromise. Yeah. And there is no component ownership by one team in development. In development, it's also important. Because we want them to feel accountable and take ownership for the whole system. So that in this sprint, maybe this Jora team number 1, were working on payments, but after a few sprints, this team will start working on payments more. Or this team are usually working on mobile, but we don't want to have only one mobile team, because in the next quarter or 2 quarters, we feel that there will be a lot of features related to mobile development, and we don't want to be in a situation when we have a bottleneck of one team able to do it. So in development, there is no component ownership, but there should be or might be some component ownership on production, you know? So if some incident on production with payments, so we definitely know to whom it could be addressed. And it might be feature team, either some community of practice or some virtual group from different teams. And we propose to developers to decide, okay, but we still have often feature requests or defects from production related to payments that could not wait for next refinement meetings or next sprint planning. And then we will talk and decide. So please provide us with a contact person or group of contact persons. Doesn't matter how you will define who is inside the group, and they will be accountable for the component on production. And we want to enlarge amount of people who can be accountable for this. So yeah, we use dependencies and specialization as a benefit, but we want to spread it around the group to be more adaptive. So the more people can do it, the easier for us will adapt. Just imagine if after 1 quarter we will bring another part of product backlog here. So we need to add these new requests. And it all consists of such kind of tasks. Half red, half purple, and one even teal. And your team are used to work only on component. Like these guys are not working with red, so they will not be working with purple or teal. They will say, please hire a new team. And we will need to hire a new team with teal skills, but also with yellow and with green. And we will start in adding more complexity again, because this team will not be able to work with REST tasks, and other team are not able to work with this task. And maybe we will start draw, this table with this is our sprints and this is our tasks or features. So it's kind of a road mapping process. And we need, the red lines to draw dependencies to make sure that everything is taken into consideration. And yeah, now it's good. Yeah. And we call it like manage dependencies. In one framework, it's very popular. And I want to say that I want to make concrete statements that it's better than nothing. And for some organization, it's a big evolution towards improvement. And so it's not a blaming game, but sometimes it looks not relevant.
I say often that despecialization is not a problem. The problem is lack of openness toward learning new things. Yeah, so that's the real problem. And learning new things, especially being a developer, to me, honestly, that's part of being a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's a bit strange when we are talking about software development or IT, as they call it sometimes, and people say that I don't want to learn something new. How could it be? New frameworks is every week, every month. New languages appears, new technology, and so on and so on. How could it be that you are not ready to learn something new? Why so? Then why do you want to get more salary or more bonuses? Why you should be promoted if you don't want, just because you're working here for 2 more years? Is it the real argument to earn more money? Are you delivering more than you were delivering 1 year before? So for me, it's just a bit strange. Maybe I'm such a crazy person that I do like learning, but still.
There are two of us, so.
I believe more because it's a Tuesday evening and we have 30 people
Yep.
in chat with us. So thank you guys.
Before Christmas.
Before Christmas. Oh yeah, really.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, I see we have two questions in chat. Please let me pause them because I want to cover a bit more. So Artem, I will ask you two more questions, okay? And then we can go to the Q&A because, well, we'll be beyond the time box, okay? But I'd like to cover two more things. So we've spoken about the developers quite a lot. Let's talk about Scrum Masters. How the role of the Scrum Master is different in LeSS than in One Team Scrum? And should Scrum Master be really empowered by the organization in LeSS?
Yeah, absolutely. You know that it's one of biggest pain, I believe, in nowadays Scrum development, not only LeSS but overall, that quite often when they start doing Scrum and then they scale this approach, they are looking for Scrum Master with a lack of understanding because no one were doing a professional Scrum before. I do like this term also, and they were mostly in some Agile theater or zombie Scrum. And that's why they say like, what he or she will be doing? Do we need a separate person for like preparing the stickers for retrospective and send the follow-up to people and create a calendar events? No. And who can do it? No, definitely not senior people. Yeah, because we have lack of seniors. So let's take some junior and someone. In Russian we say "кого не жалко." How to say it in English?
Whom we can spare.
Yeah, whom we can spare. And Google translates it who we don't feel sorry for. So, like
that's a better one.
Yeah, I like it. I don't like it, but I like it. Yeah. So whom we don't feel sorry for, and you know, for me, Scrum Master in Scrum and in LeSS it's the same, but the difference is that sometimes this Scrum Master will be working with few teams, because we want to have systematic overview. So to look at our organization as a system, not as a one team. So you definitely should be focused at the beginning for many directions, not only team level. But in Scrum it's the same, but it was not just completely described in guide. And maybe because of that, people say like, oh, okay, it's just a facilitator asking open questions, sometimes providing retrospectives, and that's it. So it's a senior position, first of all, with systematic overview, and it consists of the two parts, you know. So it's a Scrum, and can you imagine it's Master? And for me, first one is about being expert, and usually not theoretical, but practical expert in Scrum. So doing some Scrumming before to be a master in something, you know. And it's about mastery. So it's a being leader for others, yeah. So it's a leadership role. And to make sure that this person is able to help with LeSS adoption, for example, yeah, it should be properly placed in structure. So it shouldn't be like a left hand of product owner or like, I don't know, juniorish developer. So it's a management role. Yeah, it's this person, this role is also responsible for organizational structure changes. Yeah. Can you imagine that juniorish yesterday, I don't know, middle quality assurance engineer from developers is now a Scrum Master, and CTO comes to this Scrum Master and say like, what do you think? How can we restructure our teams to become more self-managed and cross-component? And he will say like, you know, I was on 2 days training. There were great guys, Andrei and Artem, and they said that asynchronous, the dependencies is worse than synchronous. So we want to have synchronous dependencies, and I propose to take all these people from their current structure and create a feature teams. Everyone is accountable for everything, and they will decide by their own how to solve dependencies because it's according to framework. And the CTO will say like, okay, great.
Nice.
Maybe yeah, nice. Have a nice week. And he or she will go to HR and say like, we need an agile coach. Let's hire an agile coach, because our Scrum Master is very juniorish for it. So yeah, in many organizations we have agile coaches, and usually it's closer to perception of Scrum Master in LeSS and in Scrum Guide itself also. Yeah, so Scrum Master works on 3 levels. Yeah, so it's individual level, it's team level, and it's organizational level. And maybe depending on the maturity level of the teams, you need to choose on which level you should be more focused on. And at the beginning, you start more on the team level, I don't know, like maybe 60%, maybe some 20% on individual, and maybe 20% on organizational. And then after some time, you can split it differently, and it will be like 20 here, 30 here, and 50 here. It depends on the level of experience and skills of this Scrum Master and dynamic in organization. But it should be somehow split. And of course, Scrum Master is serving to organization, to product owner, and to developers as usual. Not a much difference, but it's dedicated full-time role.
Okay. Thank you. And the last question from me for today is gonna be about something you said earlier about descaling roles. So to be honest, the majority of roles we have not only in teams when we have specialization in teams, but also we have on the management position, right? And the question will come, so what's with the managers? Should we fire everybody? Are there no managers in LeSS? So how do we deal with that? I'm pretty sure you heard all of those questions. I did in practice.
Yeah.
I heard them as well. So
it's a good question, you know. But for me, it's about changing their perspective of what they're accountable for. So what is the main focus for them right now? So managers should become like a capability builders. So managers as enablers to make things happen. Maybe some of the managers could become a good supporter in product owner group, and maybe in future they will be like product owners. Yeah, maybe some of managers can help us as this customer representatives on refinements, or maybe they are exactly the customers because they have a full department. Let's imagine that I have, I don't know, some in marketing, I have some manager, and in the past he was this guy or girl, let's say guy, he was a project manager for many projects he was asking us to do as developers. So he come to us and say, I have approved budget and you need to deliver me this scope because I've spoken with senior management, so now I have this budget and here is a deadline. And they used to work like this with developers. So it's our developers. And now they say, oh, how can I work with you now in your new LeSS organization? And we say, it's very similar, but with the only difference that we have a product owner and you need to request your thing through product owner as it in traditional Scrum. And you know, we want to work with you continuously on the daily basis, like in principle of Agile Manifesto, like face-to-face communication between business and developers and all this stuff. So when the priority will come to features from your project, as you call it, because your project is a part of our big product we're working on. And we feel that it's important for you, I don't know, maybe he or she have 100 people behind who are really waiting for these features. And they really need these features to be productive workers of our organization. So when priority will come, we will organize a meeting for you with these people, but you are not a manager for them. You are a client for them. And you need to clarify what is really needed, not telling us that you need all this project. And we will tell you about the feasibility, how feasible it is, and way how it can be delivered incrementally. Yeah, so some incremental plan. And we will also say you about some impediments, because potentially there will be some impediments, like someone from your people are not answering in time on our questions, so our questions are ignored, for example. And your role to help us to deliver product to you. So like improve the capability of development system, you know. And maybe they have a good experts, like some product analyst is sitting here. So they have access to analysis dashboard, to BI system, how users are using our software. And we say, you know, usually to make good decisions, we need a lot of data from your people, and we have a privacy policy. That's why they are not sharing the whole data with us only after a few months, at the end of the quarter. So if you can change the policy because you are one of the top managers in this department, yeah. So if you can help this product owner and you will go together to senior management, some CXO people, and explain them why it's so important to change policy, so that we as a team can get real data just in time, it will be easier to us to adapt features, and you will get less change requests, and we need less to rework, and it will be easier to us to prioritize your feature higher and not to postpone the delivery of the final result. Could you imagine? And he will say like, wow, really? Yeah, we will do it together with product owner, and I also have some good people in sales. They're also interested in this. So I will take a big guy from here. He is wearing the crown. So his name is Arthur. And we will go together, take our sword, I don't know, and make it happen for you. It looks like knife, not sword. Maybe he's an assassin, not a swordsman. And in the end, we will make it happen. Yeah, so we believe that product owner is accountable for product vision and direction of our product development. Yeah, the teams should product creation and product creation and delivery. It's their zone, and these guys, like past managers, it's organizational capability improvement, and it is schema on the website of LeSS, because I want to be very careful with wording in English, so sometimes I'm just helping my own with English words. Yeah, and we don't want to fire anyone, you know, because if these people are working here and they are already some high-level managers, that means that in the past they achieve something and contribute a lot to the organization. So why should we, yeah, fire some people who are good contributors just because we are changing the way of working? We can invite them to become a different role model in this organization, this new organization. So we propose them job safety, because we respect them and appreciate their contribution from past, but we expect from them good adaptiveness to new roles. So not role safety. And in the past you can, I don't know, scream on developers like, do it faster, I need it, everything, fix it scope, fix it deadline, I set deadline. No, sorry, in your new role, you are a customer and you collaborate with us in a different way. Which ways? Many different ways, like product backlog refinement, we need you. Sprint review, we need you. Please come to us with data, how our previous release affects our product development and our business goals, business objectives. We need you to remove impediments in processes, in structure, or maybe even not change policy. Can you give us this product analyst person, this nice lady, to work with us closely? So to move it from your department to our product department, product development department. And now this lady will be working here, not in your department. And in advance, you will get results faster and with better quality.
So what I usually say is, like, implementation of Scrum is, it's pure change management, right? Yeah. And you have to change a lot of stuff in the organizations. And the majority of stuff doesn't change on the policy level. The majority of stuff changes in the corridor, where you have middle managers who often work at the same company for X years, and they have colleagues with whom they were working for X years. And it's way easier to implement a change by just having a help from the manager to talk with the other manager. And this is just as simple as that. So I usually say that middle managers should be the best friends of Scrum Masters. Yeah, cool. Okay, guys, we are past the time box, so I have a lot of questions left. I believe what we should do, we should invite Artem once again, but maybe let's have some time for questions. And we have already 2 questions over here. You want
one point to wrap up before questions. Okay. You haven't asked it, but many people ask, why, if LeSS is so good, why LeSS is not so popular in the world? Why so many enterprises are not trying to adopt this? Because, you know, adding something new to your structure, it's adding new promising things to organization. It's simple because you can promote it like, okay, we will create another department, it will give us blah blah blah. We will hire a new person, new architect. We have already some architect, we will have solution architect, and it will bring us blah, blah, blah. We will hire performance testing team. So it's usually inspirational. It's easier to get budget for this and less resistance because people feel that someone else will be accountable for the problem they are now asked to solve. So, okay, let's do, please. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, so it's very inspirational. And in SAFe, for example, you have roles for everyone. No one is scared that their role is not needed anymore. They will be just renamed. And a lot of explanation for every kind of processes. It's a big toolbox, like Roop in the past from the same authors. So, but removing things which were there for years, especially roles, like we don't need project manager anymore. We don't need delivery manager anymore. We don't need separate business analyst group. We don't need PMO to decide on what we will be working. We have a product owner. How could it be? And what to do with all these people? They are certified. We've paid so much money for this. No. It's really hard. It will demotivate people. It will be a conflict. It's really hard. So that's why LeSS is not so popular, because it's like provoking you to simplify the system. And if we want to simplify, the good question to ask, okay, what problem are we trying to solve with this new process, new tool, new role, new meeting? What we're trying to solve? Okay. And without implementing this, without adding this, how can we solve this easier or simpler? Do you know some ways? Let's brainstorm together some different options. And LeSS is about descaling organization and descaling complexity. So not implementing everything, not fixing everything, but thinking about how you can do it with the current structure. How can you do it with a one team Scrum? So that's what I want to say to sum up all the discussion, because it was like a red line in different topics, you know, and to make it.
Yeah, thank you.
We have raised hand, you see, not only questions.
Yeah, I see. So, Joanna, if you have a question to ask, please write it in the Q&A section. Yep, but if you want to say hi, Joanna. Yep, okay, so the first one. So is it a good practice to split the team?
While we will be answering on second question, could you bring more details? What do you mean? And is it a good practice, or how? I'm not sure that I understand the question in the way how it was asked. So are you asking about the way how we can split, or the pros and cons of splitting the teams, or so, what is the question?
I might be wrong, but I believe that the question was asked. Yeah. Let's give some time. If there will be no follow-up, I will bring on my hypothesis. Okay.
Yeah.
And we have a second question. So, where would you place an architect taking care of technological development of the product, as a stakeholder working with the PO to prioritize technical PBIs, or as a member of a team?
I was waiting for this question during the whole evening, of course. where would you put the product owner, oh, sorry, the architect in one team Scrum? Let's imagine that you have one team working on one product, 7 people. You have product owner, and you want someone with a deep technological development expertise. What do you prefer? To create a gateway before the team start working and after the team finished some job? So create some stages? Or to put him inside the team to share expertise, to work closely with people, to work maybe in pairs, to educate them, to be a good role model for them, to lead by example, not lead the development, technological development by PowerPoint presentations for the big group, but lead them through the code base, you know? So in one team Scrum, the proper answer will be inside the Scrum team, I believe. Why in 3 team Scrum or 5 teams Scrum, the answer should be different. Why, if we have 5 teams, we think that now this is a privileged one person, and the most complex task will go to exactly to this person, not to those teams. And the most powerful decisions will be made by this person, not by those persons. And we're creating by our own, we're creating a bottleneck and a bus factor for others. What if we want to share his or her expertise and knowledge with others, but he or she can be split it into 5 teams at once, yeah? We can use different approach, like traveler approach, for example. 1 sprint in 1 team, 2nd sprint in the 2nd team, 3rd sprint in the 3rd team, or based on context they are taken to their sprint. But inside the sprint, I believe that better approach will be to put this person inside one of the Scrum teams. Maybe traveling between them to spread the knowledge. Maybe he or she is a good candidate to be a leader of a community of practice and create some architectural workshops, some mob programming, to be more involved in pairing. Yeah, but not to be the only one who is doing code review. For example, I've been in such organization where it starts from one team, and this most experienced guy become an architect and CTO of the startup, and he was at the beginning as the most experienced doing code review to everyone around to make sure that they have the same code style, everything is followed. And then they have 2 teams, and he moved from the first team and become a separate element, helping product owner to prioritize, to decide on the design, on all the decisions about technologies, frameworks, libraries, and also doing code review for everyone. And then we add 2 more teams in Kyiv, 2 was in Amsterdam, 2 in Kyiv, so 4 teams. And he said, I'm not ready to share this accountability with everyone because I am accountable for system quality and architecture. And the longest waiting waste element of our SDLC, of our board, was waiting for review, because half of the time of the sprint, they were waiting in the column, waiting for review. And he was a bottleneck for the whole system. And when I start calculating the metrics, like time to market, cycle time, lead time, work in progress, and amount of time spent in the column waiting for review, I've presented it to the senior management stakeholder, first to this architect person, ask him to help me to remove impediment from people to deliver more and early. He said that it's not a problem, it's a good for quality and it's good for design and architecture, and I was escalating as a Scrum Master this topic to overall retro, and on overall retro it becomes obvious for everyone that this practice is not helping us anymore. It's preventing us, you know. So because of this, he was asked to share the responsibility and code review only when he was invited to do code review. So not be a blocker, but be a mentor. It was hard for him, but during some time it started working.
You can also look at it this way, that Artem was mentioning earlier that our aim is to descale, and descaling the roles is also the goal, and having a specific role of an architect then leaves the team with like a gateway. Okay, architecture, that's not mine. I am not sure that you want to do that. And architecture skills. So being an architect is having a specific skill set, which is
Yep.
super great to being a developer. But if we want to have like a shared ownership of the product and the whole product focus, it also means that you have to have the shared ownership of the architecture and technological solutions that you're implementing. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the best way to educate people how to do it is to practically do it with them, not sending them schemas and PowerPoint slides via email and providing lectures once per month about architecture or run away, and push them to follow your already made decisions. Again, about tailored approach to management versus empirical approach.
Yep,
Thank you
exactly.
for helping me. Maybe I'm a bit tired, so not enough focus on the proper things. Thank you.
Okay.
So
And
how
we
is
have
it?
that last question. So we didn't have any clarification on this one, but let me make a hypothesis. I believe that
Okay.
by the time when this question arises is when you were drawing this picture with colors on product backlog items, and you were saying that maybe a person from team C can go to the team A to work together with somebody, and somebody might understand it as splitting the teams. So this sprint, this person works with one team, next works with another team. So we have this, which is called the traveler approach.
Yeah.
But how do we approach, like, what do we prefer in less? Splitting the team off and mixing people between teams, or we prefer stable teams? So I would turn this way.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Now it's more clear. So of course we prefer stable teams, but we want to enable collaboration and knowledge sharing. And if some guy from team number 1, then I can go back to this drawing. If this person, for some time during the sprint, so maybe for half of the day 3, and maybe for half of the day 9 in the sprint, will be helping this girl to achieve the sprint goal. And in future sprints, she will be able to do it alone, or maybe not next sprint, but more independently. And her skills become more T-shaped, and now she can share these skills inside her team. Maybe it's a good approach. So it's not splitting the team, don't understand me wrong, but just imagine that we are saying that in one team scrum, we want to make sure that people know what to do during the day, and on daily scrum they synchronize and they know what to do. And on daily scrum, I will ask Andrei to help me with retrospective facilitation. He will say, okay, I can help you. Is it splitting my relationship with my tasks? So there is no my and your tasks, And that's why we are saying that we have one sprint for all teams. So it's not every team have their backlog and their sprint and they are isolated. No, absolutely not. We have one big sprint for product group in which teams decide on the elements from product backlog which will be taken by their team. And if it's needed to help someone, just imagine that we are not working remotely. We are sitting in the big office, open space. And I'm sitting in open space and I'll raise my hand and say, you're not doing less even. And I'll say, who can help me with this query to database? And Andrei is sitting at that table nearby, but he's from another team. And he will say, haha, it's not in my team backlog. I cannot help you. Maybe next sprint, create a task in Jira, and if my team product owner will prioritize, I will do it. What? Really? Are we working in the same business? Are we working on the same goal? Or we are trying maybe to compete? Which team will deliver more story points? Yeah? If we are trying to compare teams by amount of delivered stories by team, or even individual story points in done column, then it will be a challenge or even a problem for us, because we are not collaborating, we're competing. If we are measuring our overall team product group performance, is it enough for business right now, and how we can become better? So if the question is not who is delivering how much, but how good we are to deliver what was planned, and how good we are to utilize our potential as a group, and we will look for how to do it better, then we will understand that to make this Jora in red t-shirt help this girl Diana, it's a good idea to improve our velocity of the whole group, to improve real value delivery of the top priority features. And it's not splitting the teams. It just rent a few hours of more experienced colleague to create integrated product increment done by several teams at the end of the one common sprint with one common goal to one product and the same user at the end who will be smiling, because how can it be I shouldn't wait for three consequent sprints? It was done in one sprint, and it will give us opportunity to take big epic and split it between three teams and work in parallel. And sometimes this parallel will be really close, like one big team of 15 people. Who cares if they can deliver? What we are looking for? Ideal structure corresponding to some manuscript, or deliver value at the end of each increment. I do prefer to deliver value. And how it could be done, who cares? Let's experiment, let's inspect, let's adapt, and let's decide what will be better for us in our context.
So I believe that that was the perfect message to end. So if
it was intentionally.
So you want to end it? I'm joking. So if you even look in the books about LeSS, the large portion of the books from Craig and Bass, they are dedicated to the experiments. And they say, we tried this, it works for us, try if it works for you, but remember while experimenting that you should not be breaking down the rules and the principles and the framework itself.
You know what was the first word of Craig Larman on his class? He said, like, I have 3 rules. First rule: you will be going back to your office and someone will ask you to retell what was here. Please don't do it. At the first week they will not understand you anymore. You will be like from different planet, so don't do it. Second rule: never say to people that you are implementing LeSS. Because LeSS is like a reference model of how you can organize a structure of how you can design organizational structure optimized for better adaptiveness to change and value delivery for one product. And don't do it. Because we were never have an intention to create our own framework. We were just doing Scrum and experiment how to do it better in multiple team environment. And through several experiments, which worked well for one company but was a disaster for another company, we found some patterns, some ideas, some guidelines, some practices. Then we found some part which is optional and recommended to try, and some part which is rules and it's framework, it's Scrum, and then we add a few more elements like overall refinement, overall retro, and dedicated role of Scrum Master. And now it becomes like a framework. So they go through practice and create some framework afterwards. Yeah, absolutely right. And it's like a fight club, you know. Don't say anyone that you are part of it.
Okay, so I want to thank you, Artem. I think that was a good one. It was really interesting, and seeing that so many people stayed with us till the end is a confirmation to that. I want to thank everybody as well, guys. Thank you for being with us. Observe our social media and YouTube channels. I believe that pretty soon we will have the video from this webinar. Yep, and happy holidays.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Subscribe on LinkedIn if you want.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I forgot to promote Artem as well. So
maybe on YouTube, but it's in Russian, Ukrainian. If you know Ukrainian, there is a good overview of Agile Manifesto. If not, it's also okay. And wish you a good holidays. Happy holidays, guys. It's quite soon.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.